It's time with JMU Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce.
Joyce breaks a tackle and goes in for a touchdown. Another spectacular run by Delvin Joyce.
Alongside one of the best signal callers in JMU history.
Vad Lee, he's got plenty of room across the 50 to the 40. He should make it all the way to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, James Madison University.
Together, the duo bring their unique perspective to the podcast, breaking down all the things they're seeing about JMU football. This is To the House. Now, here's Delvin Joyce with Vad Lee.
What's up, JMU Nation? Welcome to another episode of To the House. I'm your host, Delvin Joyce, the People's Choice, here on another Victory Monday with my guy, one of my best friends, man, Vad Lee. What's going on, Vad Lee? Future Hall of Famer Vad Lee, I forgot to say.
Hey, what's up, brother, man? I saw you on TV, got to see you on TV, and you and Kirk Delvin in the box, feeling good. JMU got the victory. How we feeling?
Got the dub. I feel great, man. How was my hair? Did my hair come across great on screen?
No, it was a little patch spot up here, right, on the right. No, man, you only got like 2 seconds of camera time, so it wasn't enough to check out your bald head.
That's good, because I only also have 2 strands of hair, so it was perfect. But of course, the Dukes got the win, and you know, I gotta say, man, it was great being on campus for family weekend, even though it was a rainy weekend. But I got a chance on Friday. I went up on Friday to meet with the coaches, and I walked around campus after the coaches meeting. And the coolest thing was that I probably had no less than 5 people, students, I think, walk up to me and tell me how much they like To the House.
What?
Like, I was like, how do they even recognize me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I still feel like I look like a student.
Let's go.
Yeah, it was dope, man. So
That's
shout out to my
amazing.
guy, Aiden. I wanted to shout out Aiden because he was super complimentary. By the way, everybody says they love having Vad Lee on To the House now.
Oh, man.
I can't tell you how many people have told me that.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad. They might be just laughing at me. I don't know if they're laughing with me. It might just be laughing at me. But
No,
man, I
man,
appreciate you bringing me on to the podcast.
Yeah.
And that's really cool, bro, that people recognize you. I mean, you're probably what, one of the shortest guys on campus still or what?
Yeah, I think so. But I was wearing my Air Maxes, so I was actually like 5'8"
Let's
that day
go.
because the air bubble.
Let's go.
Man, I mean, dude, you give me no grace, man. I'm giving you props. I'm telling you how much people love you. By the way, I did hear that there is an active over-under on how many times you're going to mention sheep or shepherd on the podcast. I won't tell you the line, but there.
Yo, that's hilarious. Hey, from the very first beginning, I was right. We got it. We got our shepherd leading the sheep in the right direction. Come on now.
Oh, man. I love it, bro. But listen, man, I know we probably don't say it enough, but shout out to everybody for listening to the House. We really appreciate you tuning in each and every week, and we love the folks that reach out and give us feedback, whether it's on one of the podcast platforms or on YouTube. Seriously, we really appreciate it. And, you know, I want to talk about this game, though, this Georgia Southern game. Obviously, it was a big win for JMU. They got the dub. That, I guess for you got a chance to watch the game from home and watching it on TV, because it's totally different at watching it in the booth and calling the game. I'm not really watching it. I'm analyzing it.
Right.
For you, though, what was it like watching the game? What was your overall thoughts on their performance?
You know, I should have brought my daughter's pictures in. They saw me watching the game, and they came in and they brought some Go JMU. They made some Go JMU little cards and stuff, poster signs. So that was really cute and everything. I should have brought it with me. But, man, I really enjoyed watching a good brand of JMU football.
Yeah.
It really just seemed like they had their foot on the gas, on the pedal, and just really from start to finish. It was a rainy day, right? It was a rainy day, so you kind of had this expectation going in that we need to dominate this game up front on both sides, right? On the line, on the offensive side and the defensive side. And it just seems as though the offensive line and the defensive line took control of this game, took advantage of this game, for their good, and everybody else just kind of followed. It's almost like the offensive line and defensive line, hey, follow me, and I will lead the way. And so they did a phenomenal job. I thought the offensive game plan was great. I thought the defensive game plan is always good. I mean, I don't even have to say that at this point, right? The defense is just, unbelievable. And but, man, that run game, I think I heard Coach Chesney at the end talk about, in terms of an offensive identity, they feel really good of where they are and running the ball and getting the ball to the running backs. And so I really enjoyed watching this game. I enjoyed watching you and Kirk Dudley call the game. That was really good. I thought it was a phenomenal performance.
Big win, huge play. Don't just remember it, wear the moment. Breaking Team makes shirts that capture the game's biggest highlights right as they happen. Gear up today using the link in the description. College football's back, and it's time to upgrade your game day gear. Right now, claim 15% off at Home Field. The best retro and vintage apparel in the game. Rep JMU in style. Don't wait. Check the link in description to get your 15% off.
Yeah, and Delvin, my girls brought the pictures, man. They made some pictures while the game was going on. This is Vad Lee talking to the team, right? Got JMU. This is my youngest daughter. And then my oldest daughter made a little JMU. Even though it was not a sunny game,
Wow.
it still fits. So, man, we had the JMU spirit going on here at the Lee House, and it was just a phenomenal performance. I thought the team did really, really well.
Yeah, man. By the way, you are raising your daughters right, and I love that that one of your daughters drew you as a shepherd, leading the flock. I mean, that's amazing, man.
That's funny. Did you see the microphone? Like they obviously dig me as a speaker, so I need more people to bring me in. Maybe in Harrisonburg, I'm trying to get back. So all the businesses and everything, I'm trying to come and speak. So let's go.
Yeah, man. Dude, I love watching all your clips on Instagram, bro. You inspire me when I listen to your clips. I think I reposted one on my story not too long ago, but you do a phenomenal job with that. But listen, man, you're exactly right. I thought the weather was going to be an issue. My biggest concern about the weather was whether or not JMU fans would actually show up to the game, right? Like, that's the one thing I was concerned about. And for all intents and purposes, bro, we had a packed house. Like, I was super impressed that people braved the weather and came out and supported the team. It was kind of one of those rains where it wasn't torrential. It was just enough that it was bearable so that people still came out. So shout out to all the fans who came out and still who still showed that support. Now, of course, with the weather, we knew it meant that we might have a strong run game. And Vat, here's one of the things that I'm going to tell you. This was what I saw, not only from my vantage point in the booth, but also when I watched the game back. Like, they beat Georgia Southern into submission. Georgia Southern quit in that game. And I honestly, man, and I hate to say it that way, but I'm telling you that's the one thing that's probably going to get Clay Helton into trouble, because that team looked like they just kind of quit. And I hate that for him, because, dude, talking to him on Thursday when we did our pre-production meeting with their coaches, man, I really, really liked him. I loved everything he had to say. I love how he actually, I believe, cares about his players. But that was not a good performance and not a good look for his team, because it looked like they just flat out quit.
Yeah.
Did it look like that to you?
It just seemed as though JMU was in control of the game from start to finish. And to your point, I mean, I guess that means that the players probably are just trying to get out of here, right? Trying to get out of here healthy, trying to not. I seen one play where Jordan Fuller on his touchdown up the left side, there was a safety getting ready to come, and he just held off, which, hey, man, the game is out of hand, Delvin, right? He's at the 1 yard line. What's going to happen if I just jump and put my head in him? That's really not going to change the outcome of the play. So
Well, that's not the one. I mean, we're talking about the same play, but what I saw on that exact same play, and I think I said this on the broadcast, there was a I don't know if it was a linebacker or a safety. There was somebody running with him.
Yeah.
like running side by side with him. Like he could have grabbed Jordan Fuller's hand and held his hand and skipped down the sideline together. That's how close he was.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is he just running beside him? Why don't you dive and make an effort to push him out of bounds?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, this team has given up on this game.
Well, I mean, when you run the ball the way that JMU did, it's almost like, oh, shoot, here we go again. You know, it's almost like, man, I got to go chase this dude. Let me go chase him because I know coach is going to watch film. Let me just look like I'm about to get him, right? But I really do not feel like falling on this ground again, this hard turf, right? This rainy turf. I got to slide on this turf now. It's just not fun. And that's what it seemed like on the Georgia Southern sideline. It just seemed like that it was not fun. I'll tell you, before we dive deep into these running backs, I'll tell you one person that seemed, at least on TV, was not affected by the rain. And I know statistically, 11 for 22, 50% completion, but that was not on Alonzo Barnett. There was a lot of passes, especially early on. There was drop passes, and it just seemed like that ball was coming out hot. I mean, it just seemed like he did not have any problems with throwing the ball in the rain, which I appreciate as a quarterback. I appreciate seeing that. Now, can we take a little off? Maybe. But because of the circumstances in the rain, sometimes you don't necessarily have 100% of knowing how the ball is going to come out. So you might even got to throw it even a little bit more stronger just because of the rain condition. You know what I mean? And so I think the ball was coming out hot, but the ball placement, we talked about ball placement last week, the ball placement was on display.
Yeah, I don't think the rain impacted Alonzo Barnett III at all. I mean, he was really zipping the ball. I mean, the challenge was, to your point, the first 4 passes that he threw were dropped, right? I think Landon Ellis had a drop over the middle. Nick DeGennaro had a drop over the middle. Mikey Scott had a drop. I mean, so yeah, you're exactly right. It was really tough, I think, for these receivers to hang on to the ball, which is why we got the run game going. So the second drive, they come out and they run the ball, I think 8 plays on a touchdown drive, led, of course, by Wayne Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And, for this offense to have, I think it was 338 yards of rushing in the game. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. And for them to have 2 running backs to go over 100, and if Alonzo Barnett didn't get that trash holding call, I couldn't say it on the broadcast, but there was a trash holding call on that 88-yard run that he had, or however long, 81-yard run, we would have had 3 rushers over 100 yards.
That's incredible.
And over 400 yards on the ground.
Yeah. As an offensive unit and an offensive line, as the guy who's running the ball, man, you hate that 80-yard play came back. I mean, that just changes the whole – because when you look at the box score at the end of the game, right, it's like, oh, that was just an okay game from the quarterback, right? Not taking into account the drop passes or the 80-yard run play that came back. And then Jordan Fuller, I believe, had a touchdown that came back as well. So we would have been well over 450 yards rushing, which, I mean, you talk about submission. That is like a statement game on the run. And I'm just glad that we are at a point now where we are allowing our running backs to really dominate and the offensive line to dominate the game or control the outcome, right? And with that being said, Wayne Knight, he leads the team in receptions right now too. So this guy, I mean, I just want to talk about him for a little bit. This guy, I know you would appreciate this, Delvin. As a running back, you teach your running backs. You block it up on the board. You got everybody blocked from defensive line to the linebackers. Then once you get to that next level, it's on the running back to make one miss, right?
That's right.
As a running back, you have to make one miss. However, when you have Wayne Knight, you got just very few running backs that can make 2 miss. And it seems as though Wayne Knight is one of those guys that you teach him to make 1 miss, but he also knows how to make 2 miss. And so that changes the whole dynamic of a run offense. And so as a running back, I'm sure you can speak to that as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, what I love about him is that he makes people miss, but he also has the speed on top of it.
Absolutely.
Right? I used to have a little shimmy.
Come on.
And I could give you that Iverson.
Come
you know
on.
what I'm saying? That crossover. But I'm probably not going to outrun you after I do it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to make you look bad on film, and then you're probably still going to tackle me 5 yards down the road. Like, Wayne Knight has that burst that when he's in the open field, bro, he's gone.
Yeah.
I was also impressed that Jordan Fuller also has deceptive speed. You're not supposed to be able to be that fast and be that big.
Yeah.
And so to your point, his touchdown gets taken off the board. That's 450 yards of total rushing. And if you remember, we didn't score on either of those drives where the touchdowns got called back.
Yeah.
So that's literally 14 points off the board. That score is probably 49-10 at best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at that, and Jordan Fuller, like you said it best, I mean, this guy's a bruiser. I mean, he's a bruiser, but he has the speed to beat you to the edge, and he knows how to make one miss. And, you know, I watched the press conference after the game with him. When I heard him talk, open up his mouth, this is my first time hearing him talk. I mean, he kind of got like a deep voice. He reminds me of a dude, like a man.
No, he's a dude, bro.
A man that means business. He talked about demeanor. Him and Trent Hendricks, he talked about demeanor too. He talked about demeanor, and he talked about, hey, we know who we are, so we don't. I thought this was a phenomenal quote. We know who we are, so we're not trying to prove anything to anybody, right? We know who we are, and so I thought that was a phenomenal quote by Jordan Fuller. But I also thought that captured who he is as a running back and as a player.
Yeah, it almost seems like he's so big that you would almost expect him to have like a light voice, right? Like,
no
like
doubt.
that oxymoronic, right? Like,
no doubt.
But dude, I mean, that guy, he's a load, man. I really enjoy the way he runs. He reminds me of Curtis Keaton, big, because Curtis was a specimen like Jordan Fuller.
Yeah.
But Curtis was also really, really fast. But man, Jordan Fuller is probably a harder runner than Curtis even was. And then he's got the speed on top of it. So, I hate that George Pettaway is out. I mean, I think George Pettaway probably breaks off a couple big runs in that game too. It sounds like he's going to be out for at least another couple of weeks based on what we're hearing. And so it looks like, Jordan Fuller and Wayne Knight are going to have to continue to carry the load. Hopefully, Ayo Adeyi, he was questionable, or I think a game time decision for this game. Love the availability report now, by the way, from the Sun Belt Conference. But, hopefully they can get Ayo back because, again, the great thing is they have the depth at the running back position in this room. What'd you think about the tight ends in this game, specifically Lakota Dipree?
Yeah, Lakota Dipree. I thought from a run fit, he was able to seal the edge. And I also seen him like wide open, or not wide open, but I also seen him open on a few pass plays, and he took advantage of. I think he was the leading receiver of this game, right? And he also got into the box, and so he's just a burst of energy. He seems, as a quarterback, you always want to be able to have a reliable tight end. One of the things that I am seeing Alonzo Barnett do is scan the field really, really well. Our offensive line for the second game in a row did not give up any sacks, right?
Right.
And there was a few times where I seen Alonzo go from the right side to the left side, and it tells me, and a couple times he threw it to his running back, he threw it to the tight end, and it tells me that he has some outlets when his big home run receivers don't have this, maybe the separation. It tells me that he has a game plan for when 1 and 2 option does not work, right? And so that's where the tight end comes in place, and that's where the check down the running backs come in place as well. And that just tells me that he's seeing the field well.
Yeah, Lakota Dipree, I think, is going to be a huge weapon going forward. I mean, the guy played DN last year, had to lose 30 pounds to become a tight end, and now I feel like he's in a comfort zone with that tight end position. But you just said it, man. The MVP of this game, I think, collectively is that offensive line to block for a running back room that rushes for 338 yards and to, again, give up no sacks.
Yeah.
And I think they only gave up 3 tackles for loss. One of those tackles for loss was because of a bad snap, and Alonzo Barnett had to fall on the ball. So this offensive line is absolutely balling. They got some injuries up there. Brett Davis was out this week. Josh Toner was out this week. but their backups, next man up, filled in, I think, really successfully.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, if they continue that, I don't know that they will, but if they continue to block in that way and give Alonzo Barnett III a clean pocket, man, that guy is going to wreak havoc on this league this upcoming season.
Absolutely. I'm in agreement.
Now, if we talk about the defense for a second, because obviously on defense, I mean, that was a super dominating performance. And I think we saw glimpses of that, of course, against Weber State, but it was an FCS program. And then we saw it against Louisville, and we said, you know what? Maybe this D is legit, but is it also potentially a case of them just playing inspired football against a big-time Power 4 program?
Yeah.
But then they come out and they shut down Liberty, right? But, the quarterback for Liberty had some success running the ball, and so then we got a little concerned. And then, of course, this team this week, they come out and just absolutely dominate, led by, again, I said it on the broadcast, the heart and soul of the defense, Trent Hendrick, 11 tackles, 7 solo, and 3 sacks. So, Vad, tell me your thoughts about this defense.
Man, the defense, I mean, when you are able to hold their running backs, I think their running backs went 3 carries, 14 yards, 3 carries, 13 yards, 3 carries, 10 yards, 2 carries, 3 yards. And if you remember, I went into this game and I said, hey, we have to make sure that the quarterback does not get out on the edge and he kind of beats us running the ball, right? I knew that he was a good passer, but I felt like the sleeper was him actually running the ball. He finished the game with negative yards rushing, and of course the sacks go into play in that. So I thought the defense did a great job condensing the, putting pressure on the quarterback. The pocket was uncomfortable the entire game. I think the passing touchdown that they did throw, this guy, the quarterback, did a great job getting the ball out, but the defense was, that pocket was collapsing. He actually had to jump in order to throw the ball, and he put the ball in the perfect spot. But it was the perfect defense too, you know what I mean? In terms of people being where they supposed to be. Our defense does a lot of disguising. They do a lot of making sure that the quarterback in the pass protection don't know where to set the pass protection. You know what I mean? And you got one side that's a slide side. You got one side that's a man side. And sometimes I feel like our defense do a great job of confusing the offense. But, man, when you talk about Trent having 3 sacks, anybody having 3 sacks in one game is just huge, right? And so shout out to that guy. Shout out to, him being the leader. But, sometimes you have a leader and then the leader doesn't always seem like they lead from a statistical standpoint. This guy,
That's right.
Trent Hendricks, he's not just the leader in terms of the one that's talking and the one that's getting everybody fired up, but he's also the guy that's also producing week in and week out.
Yeah, you're right, man. We've had leaders, right, who they're the leader because they've been there the longest. Trent's a senior. He could be a de facto leader, but for him to go out and lead by example. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I never considered him as an NFL prospect, but while I was watching that game, bro, that guy's an NFL prospect. I mean, Georgia, or at least, how about this? Georgia Southern made him look like an NFL prospect because they had no answer for him. And to your point, I think they had to be confused in protection because in a lot of those cases, Trent Hendrick is running free through the A-gap to make the play. A lot of times he disrupted the play and somebody else came in and made the sack. So there were even plays for Trent Hendrick in that game that didn't necessarily show up in the stat column for him, but he's the one that caused the disruption. We also had Amar Thomas finally showed up. I mean, he had 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Tyler Brown, 6 tackles, 4 solo tackles.
Yeah.
I think the biggest stat that I saw, I don't know if you saw this, but this speaks to how our defensive line really controlled the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
You know how many tackles Jacob Thomas had in this football game?
How many?
He had 0. He had 0 tackles.
Yeah.
Like, for your safety, who's down in the run fit a lot. Now, again, maybe they switched that with Tyler Brown, because Tyler Brown did have 6 tackles. But, I mean, Jacob Thomas to have no tackles in that football game is amazing.
Yeah, bro. Jacob Thomas, he shows up on the stat sheet every week, and I continue to highlight him in terms of, I probably said there's not another NFL, I forget how I said.
NFL
ready. There we go.
Yeah.
Jacob Thomas. And so, it's interesting as I was looking at the stats, I always like screenshot or whatever. And usually he's at the top. Usually he's at the top. Then I had to scroll.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Where's Jacob? Did he, I kind of had to look. Why? Because that tells you that the defensive line, like you said, controlled the game, which is why Trent was able to get into the backfield. You had Sahir West. I think that was his first career sack at JMU. And so shout out to that guy getting in the backfield, getting to the quarterback. You had both.
How does he – I mean, did you see this guy, though, Sahir West? Like, have you taken a good look at him?
Oh, he looks the par.
Bro. I mean, I'm going to tell you something, man. Y'all better get a bag of money for this guy because I think we're going to have a hard time keeping him in Harrisonburg.
Oh, man.
Honestly. He's a monster. I hope he stays in Harrisonburg. That guy will break every single record at JMU.
Come on now. There's not another place like Harrisonburg, Virginia. You can go all these big places, right? But Harrisonburg, Virginia, JMU, there's not another streamer, right? There's not another tradition like a JMU. So Sahir West,
listen up, Sahir.
Listen up, brother. You got Delvin Joyce played at the Giants. I was with the Giants a little bit and went to Georgia Tech. Hey, man. This is where it's at.
Stay in the Berg. Yeah, because I'm telling you, man, they are coming after this dude, bro. Yeah. He's a freshman. Well, he's a redshirt freshman, and he's huge.
Well, I mean, I'm just happy to see him have success, right? I'm happy to see. I mean, he's been there. He's been in the backfield, but to finally get that sack is a gratifying feeling for all the work that you've put in here. And so to see the defensive guys just complimenting each other and just having fun, and it seems like everybody and their mama have dance moves now on the football field. I wasn't a big dancer, but, man, I certainly love and I enjoy the dance party in Harrisonburg, Virginia.
But because you couldn't dance, though, right? Like, it would be a flag. They would call taunting on you if you danced in your era.
No doubt.
Right?
Wait, first of all, you said in your era, like I'm like, I don't appreciate that. I don't like that.
It's coming, man. You've been out of college for 10 years, my guy.
I know.
It's coming.
It's crazy, right?
I mean, listen, this defensive line has been dominant, man. I mean, again, you mentioned Sahir West, of course. Aiden Gobira also, had another big game. Emmanuel Eziogu is another guy that continues to show up and flash, and he's got the dude plays like a freaking maniac.
Yeah.
Like, when he makes a play, he shows up and shows out. And Colin Hitchler mentioned him to us before the season opener against Weber State. He was like, Emmanuel Eziogu is going to show up. Mm-hmm. And again, we've seen him show up in some big moments. So really, really excited to see this because, again, we're able to get pressure without blitzing linebackers.
Yeah.
Like, our front four, Sahir West just runs right around their tackle a couple of times and got pressure on French. And when you speeded French up, he was not accurate at all.
Right.
When he had time, and he had time to find that Camden Brown, dude, that guy is a baller. The kid from Auburn, that kid is a baller, man. I mean, he's putting together quite a resume this season. He's an NFL player too.
Yeah, I mean, he had 111 yards receiving, I believe, and that is one of the keys going into next week. I know we're not there quite yet, but going into next week, Georgia State has a phenomenal receiver as well, maybe the best receiver that we're going to see all year. And so we have to ensure that we take away their number one option. We do a lot of great things on defense. And, hey, if they're going to try to beat us with one guy, I think we see the results of that, right? We see, hey, that's okay. You got to compromise and give up something somewhere. But I do think that could be a problem, not necessarily a problem, but just alert of emphasis for Georgia State's wide receiver. I think his name is Ted Hurst.
Yeah, he's a monster. Yeah. Ted Hurst is a monster. We're going to get to him because, I mean, we got a lot to talk about with him. But real quick, before we do transition to Georgia State, let's talk about special teams. Obviously, we had the big kickoff return from Curtis Harris Lopez. Ran it for 88 yards in this game. Dude, we got two guys on the roster, I think, from New Hampshire, Curtis Harris-Lopez and Jordan Fuller, and they both balled out in this game. So shout out to Curtis Harris-Lopez for that big return. Wayne Knight seems to be super sure-handed at punt return. He just needs to come up and catch a couple more to save some field position. Patrick Ray, the punter, I told you guys this dude was going to be all right. I know he caught a lot of flack for a 7-yard punt, but dude is going to be okay, right? He averaged 41 yards a punt. He's getting good hang time. And then maybe the MVP of the game for me, again, on special teams, because this does not show up in the stat column, but Cristiano Rosa kicking the ball through the end zone every time was huge.
Yeah.
Because their other big playmaker, Cobb, number one for them, I mean, he's taken one to the house this year. He's a big-time return guy. And them starting the ball on the 25 every single drive had a huge impact on that game, field position-wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any final thoughts for you on special teams?
No, I think you hit it. I think, we had what? Did we have one go over the punter's head?
Oh, yeah, we did. But, it was a wet ball.
Yeah.
I mean
that kind of comes with it. I think we learned a lot. It's kind of hard in practice to have situational awareness or situations where it didn't seem like it rained at all during camp, right? I heard some of the guys. And so this was their first time going through this scenario and situation. And so I thought it was healthy for our team to be able to endure the rain and endure. Should I wear gloves? Should I not wear gloves? Right? Should I have, the long.
Were you a glove guy? Were you a glove guy as a quarterback?
I remember in high school. So to answer your question, I was a gloves guy when it got really cold outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
on their throwing hand too.
On my throwing hand. Oh man. And in fact,
oh wow,
I threw the ball with the better spiral and a spin with gloves on.
Oh, no kidding.
The
Okay.
ball just comes out. I mean, that thing just spins. So I actually threw the ball harder with gloves on. But I only pulled them out when it was really cold because, man, bro, I got these hands. They're probably ashy right now, but my hands get ashy. And, people, my teammates know, back when I was playing, bro, give that some lotion because dude is just ashy. And so, anyway, I was a big gloves guy because when that ash hits the wind and the cold, it's rock solid. And so I was definitely.
I start calling you Ashy Larry, man.
Ashy Larry. Ashy V. But no, man.
It was interesting that we had a couple of receivers that weren't wearing gloves.
Yep.
I don't think Landon Ellis wore gloves, and I've always felt like in the rain you probably need a little more tackiness. But I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really know. I don't know which one is better. I think I probably prefer without gloves in the rain because there was a few times where, especially at quarterback, I could not wear gloves when it was raining. Only when it was cold. Because the ball is slick and that sticky stuff is no longer sticky. It's now kind of just it don't really have an effect. And so I really don't see the need. But I also understand that that's just a comfort thing for athletes as well. But, yeah, man, very interesting. And I thought it was great for the guys to kind of learn from because that could come up later in the season as well.
Yeah, the big one, man, for me, I'm not ready to quite panic about this one yet because if we could keep blowing teams out, it may not matter. But Morgan Suarez is 2 for 4 on the year for field goals. He's missed both of his attempts over 40 yards for the year. And so, I'm not ready to hit the panic button.
Yeah.
But I just want to – hopefully we can shore that up going through the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Georgia State. And it's going to be so hard for us, I think, to even get that name right because we spent all week talking about Georgia Southern. Now we got to switch it up and say Georgia State. It's just really hard.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're playing 2 Georgia teams back to back. I think that's pretty cool. Really quick before we go to Georgia State, one thing that I really enjoyed, I enjoyed seeing Brian Shore back at home in Harrisonburg, Virginia. There was a moment at the end of the game where I saw him and Coach Chesney kind of shake hands and have a brief conversation. And so obviously he's our national championship quarterback. I got to know Brian really well. I played with him for two seasons. Actually, I hosted him on his recruiting visit to JMU. And so we went to O'Neill's, got some thumbs and toes.
And that sold him.
Yeah, it was some waffle fries, man. And so anyway, it was really cool to see Brian Shaw. I saw something on Twitter. I'm not sure if it's accurate, but I don't know if it's accurate, but I saw where the Georgia Southern offensive coordinator was being relieved, and Brian Shaw was now getting ready to call the plays at Georgia Southern. Hey, I don't know.
Really?
Don't shoot the messenger. I just saw it briefly on Twitter.
Wow.
I don't think it's true, but if that was the case, man, shout out to Brian Shaw. Anyway, Brian Shaw is going to get a shout out anyway from me, especially being a JMU Duke and being back home. So that was cool.
Look at you starting rumors on To the House, man. You got to turn To the House.
We got to bring them in some way. Come on.
We got to change To the House to TMZ. So what's also really cool about Brian Shaw is that, we had a chance to talk to him. I think he's declined interviews every year this week, when they've played JMU because he didn't want to answer the questions. And he actually gave Kurt and I some time. And he just, he's just a super humble guy, which is what I appreciate about him. And his wife's 28 weeks pregnant. And, I think Brian, if I'm you, Brian, I go into the transfer portal, man, and come to Harrisonburg next year, bro. Like, you should give that some strong consideration.
Oh, my God.
Right. Georgia State. What do you think about Georgia State? And I guess any big picture thoughts about this matchup going into this Saturday?
Yeah, very interesting Georgia State football team. I think they're looking for some type of spark. Obviously look for a spark, but I almost wanted to say like savior in a way. But they're looking for something to change the dynamics of their season. They've played some tough teams, right? They played the SEC Ole Miss team where they put 63 points up on their defense. They played Vanderbilt where Vanderbilt put up 70 points on their defense. And so when you look and you're doing your research to prepare for things like this, and the first thing you do, you go to stats and you see what the score was. Then you go to some highlights. You see who the players are, blah blah blah. But when you first go, when I first went and I, hit the schedule and see the scores, it's like yikes. Yikes. And so with that being said, if you're JMU on the other side, you don't want to go and look at this and say, yikes, oh, we're good. You know what I mean? Like, no, there's still a game to be played. And if you look at those games without context, then, you can get it all twisted up. And so from what I see from them so far, they run an odd front defense where 3 down line, similarly to what we do. Versus that Vandy game, which was their last game, they ran a lot of cover 2 and cover 2 man. I know that Vandy has an athletic mobile quarterback in Pavia, but Pavia exposed their cover 2 defense. I mean, the guy went 18 for 24, 245 yards, but he also ran the ball for 86 yards. And so you look at that with us, we have a quarterback that's athletic as well. The reason why people play cover 2 defense is because it gives you more guys in protection for the pass, not necessarily the run. So I'm not sure if they're going to do that with us. However, it was just very interesting. They kind of stuck to it, and they never really changed. And so that kind of showed me like, hey, what you get, what you see is what you get. And so, I thought that was very interesting from a defense perspective.
Yeah.
Offense perspective,
I have a question for you, though. Stay on that for a second. On their defense, right, you said they run a lot of cover 2 and a lot of cover 2 man. I think a lot of our listeners probably understand cover 2, especially the people that play, Madden and these video games, right? It's pretty simple. But explain cover 2 man to our listeners, and then what you think the cover 2 man beater is for JMU. Like, what can they do to expose that coverage?
Yeah, so great question. Cover 2 man. So obviously cover 2 is when you have 2 safeties back. The middle of the field is vulnerable, but you have your Mike linebacker who supposed to be kind of like the third deepest guy in the middle of the field. He's dropping from leverage, though, so sometimes people hit that deep middle because the linebacker is a little slower than safeties, right? So he's dropping from leverage, and that gives you a wide open middle right there. But when you have cover 2 man, that now tells the cornerbacks, that tells let's say you got 4 wide, that tells everybody that you have a man, plus you got 2 safeties that's there to cover you deep. And so you can play on the short as a cornerback. You can now play more aggressively on the shorter routes, like a hitch route or a slant route, because you know that if this guy goes deep, you're supposed to have, deep coverage. You're supposed to have a guy there. It also gives the safeties, let's say if it's a run fit, it now gives those cornerbacks, again, they're a little bit more aggressive in the run game, or, those nickelbacks are a little bit more aggressive in the run game. Why? Because I have another man that's supposed to cover me deep. Now, to beat a cover two man, think about it. If you're playing aggressively, let's say I run 4 verts, right? That means 4 guys running deep. If you're playing aggressively, you might jam the receiver, but now you're behind the receiver. So what do you have to do? You have to play catch up to run the ball, meaning your head is turned from the quarterback. You don't know what's getting ready to happen. So as a quarterback, oh man, when I saw cover 2 man, oh boy, I'm running for 268, right? I'm running for 200. I'm not necessarily worried about throwing it in the whole shot or trying to force a ball. Of course, as man-to-man defense, we want our receivers to win. But as a quarterback, if my number 1 guy isn't there, I'm taking off and I'm running because everybody's gone.
Everybody's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, we just saw the speed of Alonzo Barnett III.
Yes.
I was really impressed. Watching it happen live, I was like, there is no way he gets to the end zone. And somehow he was fast enough to get there. So, again, most people don't think about him as a dual threat quarterback. But to your point last week, he is a mobile quarterback who I think, can expose that cover 2 man if Georgia State continues to run that coverage.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at this game, Vad, I am, slightly concerned because I think this does shape up to be sort of a trap game. And I'm not saying trap game to be unfair to Georgia State in any way. A trap game to me is when you look at the records of the 2 teams. JMU is 3-1, and Georgia State is 1-3. But their 3 losses, to your point, they lost to 2 SEC schools. Yeah. They got blown out by those schools, by the way. And then they lost to perhaps right now the best group of 5 school in Memphis, 38-16. Now, that was a close game at halftime. It was 17-16. I was really surprised that they were hanging in that game. And their only win, of course, coming against FCS Murray State. And so, Vad, have you ever been to that Center Park Stadium? I know you played at Georgia Tech. I don't think Georgia State even had a program when you were there. Yeah. But have you been to a JMU game or a football game at Center Park Stadium?
I have not. The closest one, I almost went to the AAF back when they were playing for like half of the season. But I have not been there. It does not seem like an environment where they're able to pack it out just yet, right? They're still building. They're still building their football brand. And everything from what I see with them on social media, they're doing a really good job of embracing the culture of Atlanta. There's a lot of rappers that come from Atlanta. There's a lot of like, stars that come from Atlanta, the Hollywood, well, not Hollywood, but movies is happening in Atlanta. Tyler Perry is doing his thing in Atlanta. There's some big money and big stars in Atlanta, and it seems as though Georgia State is trying to really embrace that. And it seems as though that's a recruiting pitch for them to get players. And so I know that they are still building from a program standpoint. Of course, they probably don't consider or like to hear that we're still building. However, when you look at their, attendance in stadium and school, and they're fairly young football program, right? And so I think that they've done phenomenal for being so young. However, you got the Dukes coming into the house, and the Dukes are, they got the momentum. We've played Louisville, really tough, a game that we feel like maybe we should have won. So we too have, the JMU has played some some good opponents, right? But not like a Vandy probably, and not like a Ole Miss. And so, to Georgia State's credit, I think that they have played some really tough teams, and they're kind of looking at this game as another tough game, but a tough game that we can win. That's kind of what they are feeling.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think they're going to come into this game pretty confident. And they got home field advantage. And when we think about home field advantage, we think about these stadiums that have tens of thousands of people screaming and yelling. That's not their case. Their home field advantage is that you get a team like a JMU that has to come into that place, Center Park Stadium, that's going to be – I'm not even going to say it's going to be half empty. It's going to be 3/4 empty. Last time I went there, I went to the game there in 2023, and there were probably more JMU people there than were Georgia State fans. And that is their home field advantage because JMU will have to bring their own energy into that stadium. I mean, look at this Georgia State team. They beat Vanderbilt last year.
Yeah.
You know how they beat Vanderbilt last year? Vanderbilt came into Center Park Stadium with no energy, there's no electricity at all in that place other than the lights that were on, and Vanderbilt fell for it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Georgia State doesn't have good players. Bro, Del McGee is a great recruiter. I think he's a really good coach. They have NFL coaches on that coaching staff. They are more than capable to put together a game plan and beat JMU. And sadly, up to this point with their schedule, I don't think we truly know what they are at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, BYOJ, bring your own juice. That's what you have to do if you're JMU. We call that, this is a BYOJ game where you have to bring your own juice and you have to bring it from start to finish. And I believe that JMU is mature enough, they are a mature enough program to bring your own juice. You just played in a rain game. You played in an away game, a great hostile environment in Louisville, right? We know that we have to BYOJ, and I believe that they're going to be able to do it. And, like you said.
And by the way, that's pretty close to you down in Charleston. I mean, are you going to make the trip?
Yeah.
Or are you calling the game?
I'm waiting on – so it's interesting. I got Clemson that's on the schedule for this week. I'm supposed to be going to speak to Clemson on this weekend. Not choosing Clemson over JMU, but
No, it's all good, man.
It comes with the business.
Hey, they need you more right now than JMU does, bro. So go fire them boys up, man. They in trouble.
I gotta try to fire them up. I don't know if it's gonna happen. It was kind of anyway. We'll see if that happens. If that does not happen, I could potentially be coming. So if you see me, that means that that it fell through. But I would love.
I think I might try to make the trip too.
You know,
I think I'm going to try. My son, of course, has another cross-country meet on Saturday morning. I need to get the JMU schedule and this cross-country schedule together, man. Like, when your kids get to high school, you're supposed to get your weekends back. Like, can we put these cross-country matches on weekdays, for God's sake? But anyway, so if I can make it work, if he runs early enough in the morning, I can get in the car and drive to Atlanta and get there by 3:30.
Just tell them to run faster. Like,
Hey, I already tell him that, man. But, so I guess, what do you think JMU, other than BYOJ, what else does JMU need to do to be able to win this football game?
Yeah. I think JMU has to play smart football. I think that, clean up the penalties, whether they were penalties or not, but you don't want to get points taken off the board. You don't want to give this team any momentum, any false momentum that can turn into real reality, right? And so I think that is where JMU, the maturity of JMU has to show. But, hey, man, I'm starting to feel as though it's not necessarily about the opponent. It's about JMU brand of football. This is exactly what Fuller said. It's not about trying to prove anything to anybody. It's about knowing who we are. And I believe JMU at this point in the season, they know who they are. And when you know who you are, you can really wreak havoc because it's about you and nobody else. And so who is JMU? JMU is a run-first team on offense. They are a team that wants to dominate the line of scrimmage and have to dominate the line of scrimmage. They also have an experienced quarterback who has been in all plethora of positions, wins, losses, coming from behind, not starting well at all and then finishing and vice versa. And so I believe that the maturity level of this team has to continue to show for JMU in order to dominate. right? And so the run game, obviously, we have some running backs that are injured, but that now limits the thought of trying to fit everybody in versus like, hey, let's give our guy 25 carries, which we usually don't see because it kind of spreads around. But the game plan does not change for JMU. I believe that our receivers have to show up big this game. I do believe that. I think Georgia State does a lot of man-to-man situations where our receivers have to come up with the catches and have to create separation. If I'm Georgia State, I kind of feel as though that if there is a weak link, let's just say that, I feel as though it's best to hone in on stopping the run and putting the game in Alonzo Barnett and the wide receivers' hands to go win the game. I believe that's going to be their game plan going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you watch the film and the team ran for 338 yards on another Georgia school, you would have to think that Del McGee's game plan is going to be to stop the run of JMU. So to your point, I do think it's going to be a big week for the receivers and for Alonzo Barnett III. I think Alonzo is going to have to run the ball a lot in this game, and that's where I think we're going to get some chunk plays, primarily because I think the receivers also do a really good job of blocking downfield. Ironically, the 2 touchdowns that got called back on this Saturday were receivers blocking downfield who got called for holding.
Yeah.
And that's probably one to watch out for. So hopefully, Justin Harper, the receivers coach for JMU, can coach them up on that, because it's really simple, right? You're blocking, and as the runner is running past you, now the DB is trying to make the play, and you just got that one extra grab. You just got to let go. And if you let go soon enough, the official will not call it. But if you hang on a little too long, they're going to call it every time.
Well, let's be clear. Wide receivers are not trying to block for real. I know, credit, JMU wide receivers does a great job blocking downfield. But a wide receiver blocking means that I'm running the defender off, because he has to stay with me, because it could be a trick play, and I could be wide open. Half of wide receivers blocking is actually just running the guy off. And then at that last second, it's like, oh, shoot, like, let me grab hold.
Yeah.
And so we kind of got to get away from the oh, shoot moments and looking back to see if the runner is coming and just be in position. Really, the wide receiver's job is to shadow box, really. Just be in position, right?
That's it.
And seal. And so I think that that's something that's going to be an easy cleanup. But on the defensive side,
I hope so.
Did you have another point?
No. I just said I hope so, because that was huge.
Yeah, well, on the defensive side, I do believe their quarterbacks, they have some strong arm quarterbacks. And if you look at the statistics, their quarterbacks are pretty efficient, right? They're not able to end the drive with points. They kick a lot of field goals, right? Sometimes they have a lot of momentum and then it gets stalled, right? But from a quarterback standpoint of me watching, their quarterbacks, I think Brown and TJ Finley. TJ Finley is the one that I believe is going to start and play. They both have really strong quarterbacks. Strong arm quarterbacks. Brown is 6'7", I believe, 240 something. That's scary when you think about. And then TJ Finley he's no pushover either. He's 6'2", 230. And so they do a lot of motion before the snap. And the reason why teams do that is to try to figure out what coverage you're in, to see what type of adjustments that our defense is going to make. And so I do expect them to do a lot of motion, and I expect them to spread our defense out. There's a lot of times where they will go 5 wide. There's a lot of times that they'll go 4 wide and have their receivers far out. I believe that they're going to spread us out because they're trying to create run lanes. They're not just trying to pass the ball, but they're trying to create run lanes. So now that the defenders are so far out, now there's only a few guys in the box. So I believe this game, Jacob Thomas really wasn't needed, right? But this game, Jacob Thomas is probably going to be back up in the top stats where he has 10, 11 tackles because we're going to need our safeties and our defensive backs to make big plays.
Yeah, and by the way, I think you mixed up the heights of the quarterbacks.
Oh, did I?
I think Brown is the 6'3" guy, and TJ Finley is 6'7".
Oh.
But I think, the challenge, I think, with this team is they do run two quarterbacks. The difference is they have the same skill set.
Yeah, they
so
do.
I don't quite understand the two quarterback logic here. Again, TJ Finley transferred in from wherever he was. I mean, bro has been at like 5 schools. He knows like a lot of fight songs at this point. I think he was at LSU, then he went to Auburn, then he went to Texas State. I think we played against him when he was at Texas State in like 2022 or 2023. Then he went to Western Kentucky and now transferred to Georgia State. But they have the same skill set. So they are not running the 2 quarterback system. They are running 2 quarterbacks, period. Like there is no system necessarily.
Well, I don't know the situation there, but, I agree with you. They do have the same skill set. And when you start to see stuff like that, this college game has changed, right? And, some people have been promised things and some people have been told things before they got there. And so, we as a JMU nation have gone through that as well. And so you can only speculate, right? And, I will say, though, they both play well enough where they can have success. I will say
100%. 100%.
And so, I do believe that they both have what it takes to lead this Georgia State offense into having some success in the air and on the ground. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both very capable. And if we don't play disciplined on defense, this could be the game that we truly get to find out what our offense or what our defense is made of, because Georgia Southern had no answers. I mean, for our defensive line, if they give TJ Finley time and or allow him to get outside the pocket, because he can also run the ball. He's not dual threat. He's mobile. I think it could be a pretty good test for our defense going into the Louisiana game.
Yeah, to that point, typically, and I'm not saying this is the case with these quarterbacks, but typically when you have a strong arm quarterback, the flaw behind a strong arm quarterback is that they wait for their receivers to get open, to be wide open, and then they throw it, right? I was not a strong arm quarterback. I was a guy that tried to anticipate when the ball needed to come out, when my receiver was getting ready to make that last break, to try to get the ball, put the ball in a place where he can get it. And I mentioned that because that means that you kind of hold the ball a little longer than what you need to if you're a strong quarterback. And so our defensive line and our linebackers, when they're on the blitz, they're going to have opportunities for a sack party this week as well. And so I think that'll be something to look out for this game, is to see how long the quarterback is holding the ball and to see how well our defense is penetrating, our defensive line and linebackers.
That's great insight. I mean, so you were a guy that used to throw people open and these guys could just hang on to it and zip it. Kind of like AB3. I mean, maybe that's why AB3 holds the ball too long a lot of times.
He's a strong arm quarterback. He is, and he's an accurate quarterback. I always try to err, especially when I train quarterbacks, to if you can tell a strong quarterback based on the arc and velocity of the ball. If the ball is like this, then most likely that's a guy that's anticipating. If the ball is like shoo, all right, that means that like this guy got an arm on him. And so
kind of like my drive with my driver when I play golf, man. It's just
come on now.
Strong arm, baby.
Yeah, I wish I could get into golf. Actually, I'm going to play this week. I'm going to play on Thursday, so maybe you and I can get on a golf course at some point.
Let's do it, man. I am in, man. I mean, the other part about this Georgia State offense, I mean, they got a really good running back. This kid, I can't remember his name, is Robinson, I think. He's a transfer from the University of Georgia. I think he was a spring portal transfer edition, and so he didn't really get a lot of snaps in the first several games. But he carried the load in the last couple of games, and I think it's because he had trouble learning the playbook. But now that he's learned the playbook, this dude, I mean, he's not like a super fast guy that we got to worry about, like an Isaac Brown from Louisville. He's more of a competent, good vision, low to the ground, and enough speed to make plays kind of player. The big guy, though, is Ted Hurst, their receiver. And how tall is he? He's probably 6'6", right? 6'5"?
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know how tall he is, but I know his stats: 10 receptions for 172 yards, 2 touchdowns against Murray State, 70 yards versus Vandy, right? 97 yards versus a good Memphis team. The guy had almost 1,000 yards last year receiving. Bro is a problem, and JMU knows it. And so I'm sure that, Coach Hitch, he'll create a game plan to try to limit his touches, but you can tell Georgia State's offense gets going when he gets the ball in his hands. And it's not necessarily a force thing, but dude just knows how to get open. And so I do believe that this may be one of the best receivers, probably the best receiver that they will see going forward. And so, this will give them a great shot. But last week, against a Georgia Southern team, they got to see a really talented receiver who had over 100 yards receiving. And so that's something, it's almost like once you get burned once, it's like, all right, I learned from that, and that's not going to happen again. And so I think that plays into JMU's advantage. Even though you look at the stats and like, oh, this receiver had 100 yards, you got to be scared about next week. I believe that plays in a JMU advantage because now there's some keys, some indicators that say, oh, we got to look out for this.
Yeah, Camden Brown and Ted Hurst are very similar, right? Because Camden Brown just caught passes even though he was covered.
Yeah.
Ted Hurst doesn't need to be open to catch the ball. They'll just throw the ball up to him and let him go up and make a play. And more times than not, he makes the play. If you look at the recipe, though, against him, Ole Miss, he had 1 catch for 6 yards. I didn't watch that Ole Miss film yet, but whatever Ole Miss did to Ted Hurst is what JMU needs to do and basically shut him down because somehow they were able to shut down their passing game and their running game in the same game. It looked like a JMU performance for Ole Miss and the type of performance we need to have.
Yeah. For that game, I kind of don't even want to watch or care to watch because it's almost like, you see my dog over here. It's almost like they was trying to figure it out, and that's the first game. Kind of like us.
Right.
We were trying to figure things out. Oh, we're going to be a 2, all of that. So I don't know if that's – the guy is going to get the ball. He's going to get his touches, whether it's screens or whatever. But we have to be careful on those one-on-one matchups because that's when they try to expose the defense and try to go to him.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised they kept him at Georgia State. I know he went into the transfer portal briefly. I'm surprised he's back in Atlanta, but he's going to be a problem on Saturday. Looking forward to that. I think JMU, man, if they just play complimentary football like they played this past week in all phases, I think this could be a blowout game for JMU if they do what they need to do. I said a couple of weeks ago that I don't think that Bob Chesney listens to the house, nor should he. But bro might listen to the house, man, because we have not seen the 2-quarterback system in 2 weeks, really. I mean, Matthew Sluka came in for a couple of plays here and there this week, but maybe we got through to him.
Well, let me say this. Georgia State or Vandy had 3 quarterbacks score a rushing touchdown against Georgia State last week.
Wow.
Or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now Georgia State is coming off a bye, I believe. They're coming off a bye.
Yes, they are.
Which is, first of all, I wanted to say, get your concerns out of here. I don't care about your concerns. You're talking about concerns about trap game. This is not – we're not concerned. All right. Now, with that being said, they're coming off a bye week. So, all right, you got a good little point
now
there.
You're concerned. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for JMU.
They got 2 weeks to prepare, and they're not preparing for the 2-quarterback system.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So, it's interesting, though. Vandy had 3 quarterbacks to score a rushing touchdown. So – I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe you'll get some packages here and there and get our quarterbacks going as well.
That would be amazing. JMU had 3 score touchdowns against Weber State, so maybe we'll see that. All right. So again, another great game. I hope JMU fans go up. I think there's a lot of Atlanta Dukes and a lot of people in North and South Carolina that are probably going to make the trip. So I think it's going to be a good showing. And I think it would be great if we have more fans there than they have. So
I will say my first JMU watch party I ever been a part of was in Atlanta. Me and my wife, we started life in Atlanta, and it was the game that JMU beat North Dakota State to go to the national championship. That was fun, and it was a lot of Dukes there.
All right, go to another watch party. All right, all right, Vad. You know what time it is. It's time for What You Talking About, Willis.
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
All right, Vat, so you have a What You Talking About Willis this week for us, right? Am I mistaken?
No, I kind of. So, you're a guy that calls people out. I'm more of a guy that keeps it neutral, right? For me, I just, I'm not big on Twitter or X. But on game day, I definitely, I go and I see what people are talking about and trying to figure out. And one of the things that I've seen that's kind of interesting, I saw multiple times where multiple people are like, okay, this is a rain game. That means that this should be not your starting quarterback's game. This should be another quarterback. I don't even want to use names right now. And talking about GMU offense to change up and put somebody that's more of a runner than the guy who's calling the shots, right? And to me, that just makes no sense, right? And I'm glad that the game played out the way that it played, because it's like, bro, like, what are you talking about, Willis? Like, what are you talking about? You're telling me you're going to take out this guy because just the elements of the game. By the way, Alonzo Barnett can run. He can use his feet. He just ran an 80-yard touchdown. I'm going to still count it in my book, right? It still certainly will still go in his highlight tape. You won't see the flag. But, yeah, man, I saw that multiple times, and I was just very kind of like, I don't understand your logic. I guess I understand because you're saying we should run the ball, but no matter if it's raining, sleeting or snowing, a part of your offense is to keep the defense honest by throwing the ball. So you got to keep it the same. And Coach Chesney talked about not changing. This game didn't, just because of the elements, it didn't change their offensive philosophy. So it just goes to fans just trying to, be a coach from the couch. What are you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, I agree, man. The guy would have had over 125 yards rushing in that game, if not for that callback. So yeah, what are you talking about, man? Let the guy let Alonzo Barnett the third cook. Let the guy cook.
Let him eat.
Yeah,
let him cook.
Let him eat.
I love seeing the dances, by the way.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love it, man. The guy can move. All right, so I have a really quick What You Talking About, Willis, man, and it comes from somebody that I actually have a lot of respect for, because I think she does a great job. I think she was a target of What You Talking About, Willis, last year a couple of times. But it's Nicole Auerbach. She's got a weekly column on NBCSports.com, and she just kind of recaps the week in college football. And the headline for her second takeaway from week 5 in college football, she said, "We collectively panicked too early about Alabama." My first question is, who is we? Right? But you know what? What are you talking about, Willis? Like, all they want is for Alabama to be relevant. And so, they lose to Florida State, who, by the way, lost to UVA this week. And we don't know what UVA is, but Florida State, comes out and wins that game. They lose to Alabama. I mean, Alabama loses to Florida State. Everybody kind of panics, I guess. And now Alabama gets a big win over Georgia. And now, all of a sudden, the narrative now is already back on Alabama. And again, I hate to keep going back to this, but can we just please throw out the preseason rankings? We have no idea what these teams are. Now I think we kind of have an idea, right, after 5 weeks. But we don't know what Georgia is necessarily. They beat a good Tennessee team. But what are you talking about, Will? It's like let's not bring the parade back in for Alabama now all of a sudden and create that narrative that they should be in the college football playoff.
Yeah, man. It's interesting because of the transfer portal. I mean, you have a case in terms of the preseason rankings. You just do not know. Now, with that being said, Delvin, I understand where she's coming from. There was a lot of talking about firing the coaches at Alabama, like after week 1 of the season. There's so much that happens in college football and so much emotion that goes along with college football, and then so many new players that those first 2-3 games, you're still trying to figure it out. And we saw it on display at JMU. We are trying to figure out how to make this thing work. And then finally you get to a point where it's like, all right, let's stop experimenting. Let's focus and play ball, right? We done been there, we've done that. And so anyway, I do think Bama is still Bama. Now, I don't know if they're dominant, like, supposed to win the national championship every year, but if Bama is on my schedule, that's a big game. You know what I mean? And so what you're talking about, Willis, and all right, I get you a little bit.
No. I think here was my point, right? Like, I agree with you. Like, Alabama's trying to figure it out. But what she also said in the article, I want to read this verbatim. I think it's time to resume the usual conversation about Alabama. SEC contender, college football playoff participant, etc. Bama's back. And again, that's the hype train that I'm talking about, because Bama's going to get all this credit now for beating number 3 Georgia, and they want to create this narrative that Alabama should be in the college football playoff. They're going to take a spot from probably a one-loss ACC team this year. You watch what I tell you. Bama's going to lose 3 games, and they're going to get in over a one-loss ACC team.
Bro,
because of this type of thought process.
Bro, you sound like a true Sun Belt JMU me.
Because that's what I am. What else am I supposed to be, my guy?
Hey,
all right, Pat.
Hey, no, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I love it. I love the fire and passion. As one Bama fan said, I guess I just got too much Bama in me. Roll Tide.
Well, listen, man. You can't beat the pomp and circumstance of the SEC. Like, you can't beat 90, 100,000 people in the stands. But I'm telling you, bro, you take all that away and put the product on the field, and sure, they have like way more talent in a lot of positions, but collectively as teams, I don't think the gap is as wide as people think. It's just that people get caught so much in the names on the jerseys and the 90,000 seat stadiums, and all that pageantry makes them believe that these players are better, and you've been there. You know better. Yeah. Right?
So Delvin,
anyway.
When should rankings come out? What part of the season should they start the rankings?
I think week 6. I think coming into this week, you got 5 games. You kind of know out of conference has kind of happened, right? Most teams have played their out of conference schedule. So now you got an idea of what these teams are and what they can do out of conference, which doesn't bode well for the Sun Belt right now. But I do think right now is the perfect time to start ranking these teams.
Okay. I guess and I don't want to get too trapped up because I know we were getting ready to end. How does that change college? Because people love college football. The college game day show that on Saturday mornings, like they kind of determine where they're going based on, who's the hot stars and things of that. Does that change like the excitement, the joy of, JMU is ranked number 24. Wow, that's amazing. Like, how did that happen? Does that change things?
Well, we're not going to be ranked that early in the season anyway, because there were no group of 5 teams ranked in the top 25 to start the season.
Well,
not
I'm talking
one
about
team.
Our first year of I don't know when we got ranked. It was probably later in the season. But
no, four games in, I think we got ranked.
Yeah,
and
that
we
was
went
exciting. That was like, whoa.
Yeah, but should we have been ranked? I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so. Because we went down to Georgia Southern and laid an egg, and then the next week we lost to Marshall, right? So we lost 2 games in a row. So I don't think we should have been ranked. I think it was premature.
Okay.
And then I also believe that people are going to care about Georgia versus Alabama, whether they have numbers next to their name or not.
That's true.
Right? So let's leave all that out. Let's let teams earn it on the field. I think it's going to mean a lot more if there's no number by your name and you got to earn it for that first poll that comes out in week 6, where we finally get to see where the teams stack up. But that way you don't change the perception of, this Virginia team beat number 8 Florida State and all this, crap. And by the way, good for Virginia, right? Like, I was actually okay with that because I like their coach, man. I think the guy, Tony Elliott, I think he's a class act. Good for them.
Yeah.
But again, don't give people premature credit for pulling off upsets until we know what the teams are.
All right, bro.
Man, we are way over
I'm going to
time.
let you get off your soapbox now.
You know what?
Good stuff.
All right, well, Matt, I'm going to go ahead and take it to the house, man, if you're okay with that. And as we take it to the house, I want to talk about one word. It's one of my favorite words. It's professionalism. And when you look at this JMU team, you'll see a group that handles their business with a steady, workmanlike approach. And that matters a lot this week. because Georgia State is one of those games that we've said, Vad, could be a trap. But traps only catch you when you're distracted, when you let your guard down, when you stop doing the little things right. But this team's adherence to professionalism, their preparation, their focus, their attention to detail is exactly what will keep them from falling into traps. It's not about hype. It's not about headlines. It's about respecting every opponent and showing up with the same standard every single game. And that standard is their competitive advantage. And that, candidly, that's something we can all take with us into our lives. Think about your job, your family, your personal goals. There are always trap games out there. Days where it'd be easy for you to coast, to get sloppy, to sleep in, to do casual Friday. But professionalism, showing up prepared, consistent, and disciplined will keep you moving forward and separate you from the rest. I'm sure I've said this on this podcast, but it bears repeating. Amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. After 2 back-to-back weeks of success, pats on the back, and social media highlights, it would be easy to take shortcuts this week, to practice just until they get it right. But always remember, it's professionalism that keeps you from slipping. It's professionalism that builds trust. And it's professionalism that helps you to take it to the house. I'm fired up, man, about this week, bro. I might get a chance to sit in the stands and watch a JMU game. We have taken it to the house. Any final thoughts before we take it to the house, Vad?
Professionalism. Let's go. I love that, bro. You did great. Maybe I can get a professional polo like you and come on the podcast and be a little bit more professional. I feel like you just called me out. I'm over here just, just rocking the JMU football. Here you go, all looking all swole with that polo. Come on now. I love it.
JMU Football Alumni Club, man. Shout out to the brothers, man. And shout out to all of you JMU fans. Thanks again for listening. Let's take one to the house. Go Dukes!
To the House is part of the JMU Sports News Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe to the JMU Sports News Podcast Network to never miss an episode. To the House dropping in your podcast feeds every Monday night, and new episodes of the JMU Sports News Podcast coming in the middle of every week. To the House is produced by Jack Fitzpatrick, hosted by Delvin, Joyce, and Vad Lee. To the House is part of the JMU Sports News Podcast Network. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. And be sure to follow To the House on Twitter and Instagram at JMU To the House.